Hey everyone, welcome back to another Frontier hyper-critz video. Seeing as how today is Halloween, I thought I would share with you all my rendition of the story that occurred during my blind playthrough of the game Vampyr. It's the story of Dr. Jonathan Reed, a doctor returned from war to his hometown, or home city if you will, of London during the Spanish flu epidemic. This video will be chock full of spoilers, but I made sure to leave plenty for you all to discover on your own. I hope you enjoy the story that I got to play out, and remember, there be spoilers ahead. You've been warned, and enjoy. In returning from the war, I thought that there would be at least a brief time of peace. But on the night of my return, I was attacked by some madman. Left to die, I felt the very life drain out of my body. Surrounded by bodies, the corpses of those who had met their end at the hand of the Spanish flu, I awoke in a haze. An all-consuming hunger had taken over me, and I couldn't help but move on instinct. I'm sorry, but I had to end it. This is insanity! Again, I awoke in bed. I still didn't understand what was happening to me. What happened to me? Why did I attack Mary with no thought? Where had my attacker gone? I asked around the nearby tavern, the Turquoise Turtle, in hopes of finding out more about whoever attacked me. And I learned of Dr. Edgar Swansea from the Pembroke Hospital nearby. Apparently, he belonged to a group of academics that studied vampires called the Brotherhood of St. Paul's Stole. I also learned that William Bishop, the only lead I could find on my attacker, could be found in the docks near the Turtle. I made sure to fend him off long enough to check on a man, clearly a victim of whatever had caused William Bishop to go mad. The man, barely alive, was named Sean Hampton. I had heard that name before, but thought more of his current medical condition. He needed to get to a hospital. Dr. Swansea arrived by personal boat and offered to help get Mr. Hampton to the Pembroke. He also offered me a job as a blood transfusion specialist and resident, so that I would also offer to help him learn more of vampires. Thankfully, he had been able to offer me a change of clothes. I walked in the direction of the hospital and tried to mull over what had been happening to me. There was a voice in my head, and it told me to lead Clay Cox into the shadows and devour this man, to take his life force as my own. I couldn't do it. I still am a man of science, a doctor. But the voice cautioned me in going hungry. I wandered the hospital, briefly conducting a round to introduce myself to the other residents. It seemed to me that the Spanish flu had all but swallowed up the Pembroke. During my round, one of the nurses, Dorothy Crane, had asked me to help grab some antiseptics from the old morgue out behind the building. With all of the residents and nurses busy doing their best to take care of all the patients, I agreed to do my part and ran towards that small door at the end of a narrow street behind the hospital. I found the old morgue full of skulls, suffering from some disorder that appeared to mimic symptoms of the Spanish flu. These people were aggressive towards me outright. It reminded me of the way William Bishop had responded when I found Mr. Sean Hampton. But there was a particularly distressing skull I encountered, a John Doe. This skull appeared to be far more mobile and dangerous than any of the others I encountered by that point, and I will admit I was nervous for my life, or lack thereof. The antiseptic I found tucked away in the lowest area of the morgue. After getting the chemicals to Miss Crane, I returned to Dr. Swansea and tried to make more sense of what was going on. I learned that I had become what was known as an Ekon, a free-thinking vampire not trapped in a circle of feeding and death. Or so I thought. As I left my colleague's office, he asked of me a task involving speaking to one of the Pembroke's main benefactors named Lady Ashbury about some trouble she had been having. As it turned out, Lady Emily Ashbury, the Pembroke's main benefactor, was the woman that saved me from William Bishop on the dock. Lady Ashbury promised to answer my questions as long as I had been able to prove myself able to silence her blackmail, without them being eaten. I needed to track down the source of gossip as well as find the blackmailer. Harriet Jones, the bitter and angry patient of the Pembroke, all but spat on me when she said that multiple staff members had been cavorting together in ill and gotten ways. All of the staff and most of the patients claimed Miss Jones was just a bitter and angry old woman and that I'd be better off just ignoring her. But it seemed Miss Jones spoke at least something of the truth. I decided to follow the thug into the sewers and confront him over this unorthodox way of becoming a patient in the hospital. By the time I had reached him, though, he was long gone, the work of some great beast. I found the voucher from Nurse Crane and it pointed in the direction of one Darius Petrescu and his home near Whitechapel. I had to take great caution in reaching the Whitechapel neighborhood, as the Guard of Prewin and even more Skull than ever before were roaming the streets. When I reached the home of the local publisher Darius Petrescu, I was not warmly greeted. The gruff older man had lived a difficult life and was not quick to allow me entry. As I stepped into Nurse Crane's clinic, I was met with a familiar sight where again my instincts took over. I did all I could, resisted the unbelievable temptation to drain the life from both of them, but in the end, when confronted about the blackmail, Nurse Crane agreed to shut down the clinic. Little did I realize the repercussions that statement would have. I learned that the Skull that died on that surgical table shared symptoms of the Spanish flu. Unlike the flu, though, this new disease caused the victim to become violent. I also learned that Mary's funeral was the same evening. Discreetly, I made my way to see Mary once more. Upon my arrival, though, a thought I had put off came roaring back. Caught up in the thrill of science, I temporarily put off the loss of my sister and desecration of my life. I needed to figure out who had attacked me so I could finally let Mary go. And I put all of my efforts into finding my attacker, following every lead I could. But when I finally found them, the answer I received only made things worse. It became even more apparent to learn more of who had attacked me and discover why I had allowed these things to happen, and the source of the epidemic. With Lady Ashbury's blackmail stopped, she explained more of what I had become. I learned of the Ascalon Club, a secret society of vampires ruling the Empire, and of something called the Horned Man. Lord Redgrave, leader of the Ascalon Club at the time, claimed my blood to be from an ancient line and invited me to join as a member of their club. In becoming a member of the Ascalon Club, I learned I was to protect the interests of the Crown, a loyal servant. To start my duties towards the Crown, I reignited my search for the source of the disease which had been spreading faster and faster. As I learned more of the dark secrets carried by the Ascalon Club, I renounced their ways and became targeted by them in the process. I avoided the Guard of Prewin and anyone from Ascalon when I could, and continued the search for the origin of this epidemic and learned of a creature called the Disaster. The virus had spread when Dr. Edgar Swansea used Emily's blood in an experimental transfusion process with Harriet Jones. This disaster had originated from Emily Ashbury's blood, but when I told her she was a healthy carrier, she fled. Alone again in the pursuit of answers, I learned that this disaster, meaning Bad Star, was a creature of pure rage and hatred. The epidemic began when Lady Ashbury's blood entered Harriet Jones, where it slowly filled her with a vitriolic rage and would transform her. I had to find Harriet Jones and stop this. But to protect myself from this creature's contagion, I needed to create an antidote. I tracked Harriet Jones into the sewers and encountered again the Horned Man, the one who had transformed me into a creature of the night. I learned that I had been turned to be used as a champion against this oncoming disaster, as another had done hundreds of years before. My scientific outlook could provide a modern answer towards this ancient monster. There was a greater threat than just the disease, though. The blood of hate flowed through the disaster. The blood itself originated from the Red Goddess, the mother of all vampires. If she were allowed to awake from her slumber, our world would end in pain and rage, and I could not allow that to happen. As the Red Queen returned to slumber, I searched for Lady Ashbury. I needed to know why she had run, why she was a healthy carrier. When I found her, she had locked herself away in an ancient castle in hopes of never being able to spread the disease again. I chose to stay and help her, using my medical knowledge to help seek a cure, that we may some night travel this world together. And with eternity on our side, it shouldn't take too long. Alright, just wanted to say thanks to everybody for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more video content, and I will be seeing you guys in the next episode. Bye-bye.